This is Ben Television. My name is Kayode Ogundamisi. It's your program, Politics with KO, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Thursdays on this channel, Sky 182. Don't miss the debates by Nigerians and friends of Nigeria on issues surrounding Nigeria from around the world. My name is Kayode Ogundamisi. And you're welcome to Ben Television. My name is Kayode Ogundamisi. This is your show, Politics with KO. And tonight, we're going to be looking at diaspora and dilemma, pain or gain. If you want to relocate back to Nigeria, what do you need to look out for, watch out for? Because quite a number of Nigerians actually left Nigeria thinking we're going to go abroad and get a better life, or we're just going to make things better for us. And some actually left Nigeria for political reasons, some for economic reasons. Tonight, we're going to discuss the issue about the dilemma we find ourselves in the diaspora, about relocating back to Africa, especially Nigeria. Well, we are also going to look into a young Nigerian born in Nigeria but was taken to the United States at a very tender age, Basi. That's one of the great ambassadors of our country. She's a poet, a writer, and she's moved back to Nigeria. I met with her in Calabar. We're going to give you a short clip of poem Homeward, and then the interview I had in Calabar with Basi. But first, I'll let Ngozi take the cue from me by giving us the news. But before I let Ngozi come in, Atiku is back in APC. No, well, he was in PDP to AD, AC. I've actually lost count of the number of times Atiku has moved. So Atiku is now an APC chieftain. And then the commissioner, the military administrator of Rivers State, Commissioner Mbu, who was ruling that state on behalf of President Jonathan, well, is out. He's in Abuja. Ngozi, I'm lost. What do you have for us, actually?
That's like breaking news, isn't it? Atiku is now with APC.
PDP, yeah, exactly.
Oh, PDP. You
APC,
don't even know.
I'm confused now, actually.
Well, you know, today, obviously, it marks the second day since the strike for London Underground, and it's driven everybody insane, especially me, because we nearly did not make it to the show. But we're forever, forever loyal to our fans out there, to Politics with KO, that we walked miles to get here today to bring you this topic. Anyways, did you hear about Lamido Sanusi, the chief of Central Bank of Nigeria? You know the allegation that he made? Yeah. Over the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, that $20 billion is still unaccounted for. Apparently, 20 billion, not million. 20 billion, yes. Apparently, Mr. Sanusi told the Senate committee that of $67 billion of oil sold between January 2012 and July 2013, that there was still $20 billion And then the funny thing was that the Nigerian government actually agreed that some money was missing, but apparently they said it was only 10 billion that was missing. Still unaccounted for, even if it was 10 billion. But Sanusi insists it is 20. So 10 plus 20 is 30 billion. Okay, we're making progress. But Mr. Andrew Yakubu, you know, he's the managing director for the NNPC. Yeah, he's saying that, I'll quote his words. He said, these unsubstantiated claims show little understanding of the technicalities of the oil industry. This is his own excuse. So it's normal in the oil industry for 30 billion to go. Hey, it's 20 billion. Oh, sorry, $20 billion. And the government says it's 10. Okay. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, there's your story for missing Nigerian oil money. Tell us what you think. Tweet us. Mine is at Gail Ngozi, and Kayode is at Ogundamisi. Let us know what you think about this. Moving on now. The United Nations envoy to the Central African Republic, Babakar Gaye, has to Bangui. Apparently, the victim was accused of being a rebel from the other side, and he was stabbed, he was beaten, he was stoned, and then dragged, through the streets before his body was actually burned, which I think is just so harrowing. And, of course, that there's been a spate of shocking acts in Central African Republic recently. And at first, when he started, they were saying it's about the rebel that had power. But now that he's resigned, why are there still all these violent activities happening in Central Africa?
Oklahoma, D.C., Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You're doing yourself out of rental income.
Okay.
By taking up a property.
Okay, let me quickly take this call, and we really want to encourage callers to call in. Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Kill.
Okay, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Zaka, and I'm calling from North London.
Okay, can you tell us your experience? What do you think about this topic?
To be honest with you, Mr. Kill, it's a very wild experience. I mean, I started the program with you, and I know it's very challenging.
Yeah.
Just like the lady, the got there.
Yeah.
It is not easy living a country very early age. Because the moment you leave the country and you are kind of outside of the country.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, maybe based on what we hear now, it's kind of, difficult for you to want to go back home. So where am I going in essence? I have somebody that has moved down home. He's doing well. But believe me, Mr. K.O., I find it very difficult to go home. Not because of anything, but just like the security you said, there's no light. That's actual. The lady that I was talking about, yes, this person I'm talking about has moved to Lekki. Yeah. If you're going to rent a 2-bedroom at Lekki, you are looking at $1 million. Now, if you are going to live there, you pay $1 million. If you are moving with your children, obviously you don't expect me to take my kids from UK, and maybe obviously we know the government is not working anyway. So if we have to put our children into the unit, you are talking about a lot of money.
Okay.
She's right. It's very expensive living in Nigeria.
Okay.
Very, very expensive.
Okay, I
just pray God help us.
Okay, I want to thank you for calling into the show, and I would like to thank you so much for calling in. Well, let me ask you, Roslyn, you don't have to move to Lekki. You can go to Agege or you can go to Jagbandi. Why is it that Nigerians in diaspora, we want to stay in Lekki?
Okay, let me tell you a little funny joke.
Yeah.
Before I came onto this program today, I decided to Facebook a number of my friends who live in the diaspora.
Yeah.
I decided, because I've always had this brainstorming conversation with people who lived in the UK, so I focused on those who live in the United States.
Hold on. I want our caller to hold on, please. We're going to get back to you. Let's just hear from Roslyn.
And most of the people I focused on when we were growing up, because I've known them from way back. Some of them I did A-levels with them. I schooled outside Lagos. I schooled in Ibadan. I schooled in Ado-Ekiti, and I did my NYSC in Bauchi. So the people I spoke to were actually not originally Lagosians. You can't believe each and every one of them who decided to relocate, want to stay in Lagos.
Okay. Let me take this call. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, what's your name and where are you calling from, please?
My name is I'm calling from Sheffield.
Okay. It's good to have you. Roslyn is here with us. What's your experience like in terms of, do you want to go back home? Do you have challenges? Share your experience with us.
Okay. Before I share, I just want to say, and the lady she's a very real person. I've never seen any real person like her has ever come to this show. She tells herself the truth. Okay. And I know so many Nigerians in this country. Their problem is not the money to go back to Nigeria with. They are very happy with their kids having the English accent and imbibing another culture. They don't care about African culture. So most of them, I know some of my friends, their kids are 8 years, 10 years. They've never ever gone for holiday. I mean holiday. And they don't care. So they're just happy with it. Those people never dream of going back to Nigeria. They want their kids to become white people. That's their dream. For somebody like me, honestly, for my kids not to lose their identity and their culture, at some point I will have to go back to Nigeria. Even if it means putting them in secondary school for 3 years, they'll come back here and do their A-level, something like that. So it depends on the parents, what they want. Then you will also know about the financial issues. But I'm telling you the truth. Some people don't tell themselves the truth, and they want their kids to be white people.
And thanks for telling us the truth there. And thanks for calling in on the program. I want to read a text message. Omo from London says, please tell your guests not to compare prices of land in Lagos and London. It's not comparable. You need to price a land in London with US. And that's Omo. And as our next caller, I want you to hold on. Omo is saying they are not comparable. The prices of land in London and Lagos. But that's your field, though. They are.
Each and every time the exchange rate changes between the naira and the pound here, property prices and land prices go up in Lagos. Even school fees in Lagos are paid in dollars. They're not paid in naira.
So it's quite...
We are very sensitive, yes. Everything that happens in Lagos especially. I can't speak for other parts of Nigeria. But I will only speak of what I know. In Lagos, it is very sensitive to the exchange rate.
All right. Good evening. I've got a caller in. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. From London.
All right. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, you see, one of the major problems we are facing Nigerians in diaspora is that we embed ourselves with bunch of lies, fake lies. No Nigerian kid in UK can be able to speak his or her parental accent or language. Like I'm an Igbo. I have aunties who are here who speak Igbo, but their kids speak English. They are only interested that their kids are speaking Ini, wow. Even the elder ones that are above 30 are coming. They will take those things back home, lying to people, painting UK or life outside Nigeria to be better than life at home. It is high time we begin to tell ourselves the simple truth. Trying to tell ourselves that the level of poverty we black suffer here. Now, there are people in Nigeria who doesn't face it.
All right.
I have a friend here who is telling me that he can't go back to Nigeria because if he's sick, he can walk into GP and GP to talk to him. As if people back home, all of them are dead. We should try to tell ourselves simple truth. The white people don't care about us.
All right, thanks for that. I would want, Rosalind, he's made a valid point there. The fact is, we don't, even if we want to go back home, we're not preparing our kids. We're not getting them ready to adapt to the culture at home. And then we've got another caller, but I want you to hold on, please. After we take this call, we'll take the second clip. So, how can we prepare our kids to, if you want to go back home so they can adapt to the situation? Or is it possible?
It is possible. It's doable. I mean, my parents did it when I was going home. The thing is, there's a certain age where you can take a child and they are more amenable to adaptation. Like, if you take a teenager, they've already gone past their formative years. They're young. In this country, a child of 14 to 17 is not even called a teenager. They're called a young adult. At that time, the character is already formed. Yes, Nigeria is tough. We have to be realistic. But it was tough even before we left there. We had insecurity problems. We had electricity problems. We had traffic problems. We had water problems. We had unemployment. Maybe it might be magnified now, but then obviously because the world is evolving, everything is magnified. We have to be realistic in our expectations when we're taking our children back. Some children will be going on holiday, which is good. You break them in gently. If you're taking an adult or teenager child, the other lady who phoned in said she has friends who've never taken their kids home before. My daughter's been home 3 times, although the first 2 times was she was actually a toddler.
Okay.
So I want to take her now that she has that
she
element of
she will have an
clarity.
understanding.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let me take this call. Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Where are you calling from, please?
My name is Frank. I'm calling from Leeds.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I just like to know this topic you guys have had, and it's a very, very good topic. Okay. I mean, this is what I've been having and I've been hearing. I'm telling co-Nigerians, when I need them. I just came out from Nigeria. I stayed 1 month. My dear, I said, that place is where we need to be. Do you understand?
Yes, I get you.
Where we need to be. We are just here, just like the last caller called and said, no, we're not this place. You know, we don't have any prosperity in this country. That country is right. The lady that says about the nation, I mean, it depends on where you are living. I'm not saying that everybody has to live in the posh area, right? I stayed in Nigeria for a month in Abuja, right? Where I stayed the 3 times, there was no, I could count the number of nights I did not sleep tonight. Right? Do you understand?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like in here.
Okay.
My dear, I was living in abroad. I've been in this country for about 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you now, I'm being up in the picture, I don't know my mind, I'm returning back and doing something here.
Okay.
Do you understand? We all here should think about how to go back there. There's no problem like that. Like somebody said, security problem is everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
The security issue is Nigeria. So I'm sure
okay. All right. I want to thank you for calling in, and because I want to read the text message and we take the second clip. The first one is, the truth is, moving to Nigeria is a nice idea, but the problem of Nigeria are just too difficult. Infrastructure is not there, no health care, and everything just seems not to be working. And this is from one of our viewers. I think he is sending this text message from Northern Ireland. And we've got another text message from another viewer, and this is Emeka. Nigeria is a country for the survival of the fittest. The diaspora is that people wanting to go back, is that blending back into Nigeria is difficult. That's Emeka. And then we also have another text message. There are just quite a number of them. Let me just take this one. Taiwo from Wales. And Taiwo is saying, my contribution towards Nigeria is that we are all prepared to relocate to Nigeria, but for some unseen reasons, we can't. Anyway, it's a hot topic. The phone lines are buzzing. But I want us to go back to Basi, and then we want to find out from Basi what influenced the poetry homeward. This is Basi. We met her in Calabar.
I consider it my hometown because my hometown is a village called Ugep, but I claim Calabar as my hometown.
Okay.
Yeah,
so were you born in Ugep?
No, I was born in Ikom.
Ikom, where is Ikom?
This is in Cross River State. It's not far from. Wait, no, I don't know my geography. I'm going to say I don't know where it is. Yeah. It might be far, it might not be far. I don't know. Okay. I've only been there twice since I was born.
The impression I had was that you were born in the U.S.
Everyone thinks I was born in the U.S.
Why?
Because of my accent, because I'm very American, according to them.
Yeah.
But I'm Nigerian through and through.
Nigerian. Okay, now tell us, when did you leave for the U.S.?
When I was 4.5, almost 5 years old.
Okay. And then you left with your parents, and you've been in the U.S. for how long?
Without visiting, or just how long in general?
Total in general.
You trying to get me to say how old I am?
Yeah. Wow.
32 years.
32 years, okay.
Yes.
Now in the U.S., what were you doing? Poetry, you were writing and doing stuff in the literary circle.
Yes.
And then you've got this HIT video on YouTube with your, the performance with Def Jam Poetry.
Yes.
Homeland.
Homeward.
Homeward,
yes.
Sorry.
Sorry.
So, Homeward, what is Homeward about?
Homeward, I actually remember when I wrote it. I was living in New York, and I was in the village. I don't know, people who are familiar with New York, there's the East Village and there's the West Village. Yeah. And I was in the West Village near NYU, and I was feeling very, I don't want to say sad, but just a little nostalgic. I was homesick, but I was homesick for Nigeria and homesick for Maryland, where my parents were. I had just moved to New York. It was very, difficult adjustment for me. And the first thing that I wrote was, "East or West, this is not my village." That was the first line that I wrote. And then the poem sort of built around it when I started thinking about, the fact that I couldn't communicate with my grandmother. She's since passed. I couldn't communicate with her, yet there was still this thing that kept me rooted to Nigeria, though I didn't have the language or the words to sort of express what Nigeria was and who I was in terms of being a Nigerian, but also feeling very American and knowing that that's also a part of my identity. And the poem was written as a way to express the fact that I am Nigerian. Here's the things that make me Nigerian, but I'm American. Here are the things that make me American. And I'm trying to find a way to put these things together in order to make a composite of who I am.
And there's a particular striking verse. It says, "Nigeria is quietly begging me to remember, while America slowly urges me to forget."
Yes.
That is powerful.
Thank you.
So, how do you explain that?
Well, it's very easy to assimilate when you come to America. It's very easy. You need to speak English. You just have to. My parents didn't speak to me in our native Ugep language because they needed me to speak English. And our group is so small that even if there were other Nigerians around, there were Yoruba, there were Igbo, there were Hausa, so they could speak to each other, but me, I needed to speak English or I wouldn't be able to communicate. So they stopped speaking to me and only only made me speak English. As I grew in America, there were certain things that my parents injected as Nigerian, what they brought from home, but I was living in America when they were doing it, so it was kind of odd because that's not how it was done in America. So I had a really tough time growing up, sort of balancing what my parents knew as new immigrants and where it is that we were as new immigrants. Nigeria begging me to remember was me wanting desperately to remember at least some of the language, because I was speaking it fluently up until I was 5. And my dad even said I was speaking broken fluently until I was 5. So I wanted to remember, and I know that there's so much about Nigeria that I don't know, and I hate the fact that I don't know because I am Nigerian. And then, America urging me to forget is you have to fit in. You have to be part of us. You have to dress like us, look like us, talk like us. You have to do the things that we do, or you're going to be an outsider. And when you're young, you don't want to be an outsider. So I always had this sort of duality where I've always been proud of being Nigerian, but being Nigerian to me was what my mom cooked at home.
As the gari.
Yeah, like, eba, fufu. We didn't have yam back then because it wasn't readily available. The more I grew up, the more things were being imported in. But back then, it wasn't a lot that was being imported. So
you had the pull of Nigeria and then America wanting to retain you.
Yeah, not even America. The pull of America was I just wanted to fit in. I needed to be able to relate to where I was as opposed to where I came from. But I didn't want to forget where I came from in any significant way.
And then you said tongue-tied woman. What's tongue-tied woman?
Well, again, when I left, I was speaking fluently. I could talk to my grandmother. I could talk to different people. When I returned for the first time, I was tongue-tied. Well, I didn't have the words anymore. My tongue just was not able to, even if I knew the word, the pronunciation was American. So I couldn't even say it correctly, even if I did know the words.
So can you say something in Efik or?
Gosh, I'm not Efik. Efik is Calabar.
Is it in your local dialect?
You put me on the spot. I mean, there's certain things that are said and I can answer back and. Awonke, that means welcome. Aploka, that means good day or good morning.
Yeah, and then if you say these things, do people from that part of the country of Nigeria think, why is she sounding American in the local dialect? Is that part of the tongue tied, you know?
Well, they expect it. They're shocked that I say the little bit that I say, but they already know that my tongue is heavy with America. They already know that. Yeah. So they're just excited that I even tried, you know, so.
And then you said, I inhaled the history of her skin. Can you explain that?
This is my grandmother. Just that ancestral spirit, and knowing that when I'm with her, I'm not just with her, I'm with all the people who came before her and all the people who came before me, and the fact that my Americanness is very recent, but my Nigerianness goes back for centuries, and that's what that inhaling the history from the skin means. It's so funny, nobody ever asks me what these things mean. They never do, and I have explanations for everything, but that's what that means.
I live in the UK, and I know quite a lot of Nigerians who live in the UK, and they've got kids in the UK. And there's a part in your poetry that says, "Where will my children call home?" And that sort of identifies with millions of Nigerians in the diaspora with the questions, where will my children call home? What influenced that? Well,
I've always called, whenever I say I'm going home, Nigeria is what I mean, because that's what my parents always meant when they said home. So-and-so went home. It's Nigeria. But as I got older and like went off to university, home was, you know, where my parents were. And it stopped.
Yeah, welcome back. That was Basi Ikpi. I met her in Calabar, South Nigeria. And what a remarkable story. We're going to have a full interview after this show. You just check it out on YouTube. We've got a caller on the line, and good evening.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
Fine. What's your name and where are you calling from, please?
Yeah, my name is Sam. I'm calling from Dublin, precisely.
All right, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm calling as regard of what Rosemary said initially.
Yeah, Rosalind, yeah.
I'm referring my question to her.
Yeah.
If I'm going to Nigeria, if I'm going to Nigeria, fine, it's expensive, but my own opinion is that going to Nigeria doesn't mean you stay in Lagos.
Exactly.
You know? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to live in Lagos. Consider it's expensive, like you want. You can go back to your place wherever you come and start living your life. Like myself, I'm not from Lagos, and I'm planning to go back to Nigeria. And if eventually I find myself back to Nigeria, I'm not able to Lagos. Oh, definitely. So, 1, 2, if I was the other caller said initially, you see, there are some people that just came to abroad, we go to abroad, we turn to something else, you know. What I still believe is that no place like home in the world.
Okay, on that point, no place like. Thank you for calling from Dublin.
Yeah, home not better.
Okay, yeah, thanks, because we need to have other callers. But let me read this text message. Many of us would like to go back, but the quality of life back home is just deplorable. The lady in the studio is just being realistic. That's Awumbe from Ireland, Dublin, Ireland, Joseph Awumbe. People just keep saying you don't need to go back to Lagos. You're from Lagos, but for others who don't need to go back to Lagos, what can they do?
I don't know. We have 36 states.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to come from the diaspora to one particular state.
Yeah.
Why? Most of the people I sampled today live in the United States. Only one person actually grew up in Lagos.
Okay.
But everybody I spoke to who is considering the option of coming back to Nigeria wants to settle in Lagos. And I couldn't understand why. I asked them, they just felt that that was just the place to be.
But is it not the argument that, you see, it's where it's economically attractive? London is attractive to quite a number of migrants from all over the world. And Lagos, more or less, will be attractive to people. If people want to go, they want to be in Lagos.
Then why do we have 36 states? Why do each of those states have a capital? People live in Birmingham, people live in Manchester. Some people have called you from Dublin. That's in Ireland. The United Kingdom is made up of actually 4 countries. England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland.
Okay, I'll see what our caller has got to say. Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Birmingham.
All right, go ahead, please.
See? Birmingham.
Yeah, well, I believe, like other callers have said, home is with me, actually, to be honest, because I just came back after 4 weeks last week.
Okay.
So,
Oh, you just got back from Nigeria, right?
Yeah, last week. I came
So
last week.
how was it? How is it at home? If I want to go back home now and relocate, is this somewhere you would recommend that I should go back to?
Well, I believe that place is okay because me coming back, I'm struggling, I'm at work, I feel struggle because the kind of lifestyle, whatever, that is there at home. Yes, but the problem is we still have the problems of this electricity. Because I live in the north, I can now say precisely. I only have 2 hours of light every day. And that baffles me. One people say there's development in Nigeria. And when there's no electricity, you get distressed. By the time you want to drive out, you need 2 cars to drive a car. That annoys you. So, I want to talk of education for the children. You need to have a lot of money. Because to take your child to a better school, you need to have over £8,000.
Wow.
To go to a better school. Even the so-called church schools, they are very expensive. So these are the two people need to go together. And if you want to go to Nigeria to set with what I do go to Nigeria every year. I've been in this country for over 10 years. So I go there every year and I know what I see in fact. It's not that I go to Nigeria after 35 years. Every year I go.
Okay.
You need to have a lot of money
Okay.
to
Yeah. All right. I want to tell.
it is expensive to me.
Okay, thanks. It's expensive to settle in Nigeria, and that's actually a practical example. Is it not true that you can pay your tax in the UK and have your child in a public school, but to get your child in the same school with the same standard in Nigeria will cost you almost the same amount of money you earn as income in the UK?
Well, to be honest, in order to send your child to a different school in Lagos, it's the equivalent of a private boarding school in the United Kingdom.
Wow.
Schools in Lagos charge anything from $3,000 to $5,000.
$3,000 to $5,000?
Yes, they don't take some of the schools. I don't want to name any particular names, but I know schools in Lagos that will not take school fees in Naira. So
in some parts of Nigeria now, they take school fees in dollars.
In dollars, yeah.
For you to get quality education. So it's quite uncommon. You can't just get your child from a public school in the UK and drop in a public school in Lagos or anywhere else in Nigeria.
Unfortunately, the educational system in Nigeria is not commensurate to what we have in the United Kingdom or United States.
Okay, let's hear what this caller has got to say. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What's your name and where are you calling from, please?
Yes, hello, good evening, how are you?
Yeah, you first need to, sorry, you need to turn out the volume of your set so that we can hear you clearly.
The fact that you have to deal with artisans who are not necessarily time conscious or conscientious in the way they work. You have to have a certain level of tolerance and a certain level of patience to be able to deal with the average Nigerian workman.
So what you're trying to say is, even if you're trying to establish a business back home,
exactly,
you can't get the required service.
You will, but it will take you a while.